Hey, you're listening to Don't Lie to Your Life Coach podcast with Kim Arrington. I'm Kim Arrington. I'm a life coach, a weight loss coach, an author, and a badass passionate about helping you connect back to your most authentic self. Join me here each week so I can coach you on how to think all those juicy thoughts that get you feeling your absolute best and taking some big ass action. Coaching has changed my life, and it can change your life too. I'm here to give you real life solutions to create a life you'll love. Because the truth is, boo, you ain't just got problems, you got options. Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me for the 60th episode of Don't Lie to Your Life Coach. Didn't it happen fast, y'all? I can't believe it. So I wanted to come to you today with one of my infamous mashups, where I take a couple of episodes that I think have some juicy points that I want you to, re-experience. Repetition is our friend. That's how we learn. So one of the episodes is the actual New Year's episode. It's called New Year, True You. Don't bring these 3 shitty habits into 2023. There you're going to find lots of information about how you want to kind of rethink some of the things you're doing. And we're mid-year. We're actually over mid-year. So this is a good checkup to see where you are with that. The next one is episode 29, C- Sex for the Win. People stop me all the time to talk about this. This is the episode to help you all get your sexy back, okay? Whether it's with yourself or with a friend. And then episode 31, holy shit, why am I still thinking like this? Your thoughts are directly connected to your behavior. And so if you can change your thoughts, guess what happens? You can change your behavior. So please enjoy these episodes. I'm so thrilled you're on this journey with me. We're going to keep rocking. You always hear me brag about the 9 million episodes I have. Even in the middle of a podcast, I'll say, there's another podcast episode. So we're going to keep coming and doing this. I love bringing this to you. I love it when you give me feedback. So if you see me or if you hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, let me know how you like everything and what you like to hear. And I'm just so glad that you're on this journey with me. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep finding ways to make our lives incredible. All right, take a listen. Really consider letting go of instant gratification. Okay, I only have one caveat built in. If you can make a change and you can be willing to see the little juicy, yummy, ooey gooey things that are happening in that change, that does not count. That is like seeing your credit. That's like recognizing the good things. But I'm talking about the things where you are like, I gotta lose 100 pounds in 25 days, or I've decided to date and the first date's got to be the one that I marry, or this job that I have, this new job, I've got to learn how to do everything in the first 3 days. Okay, we already talked about in 2022 about being a beginner, right? Oh yeah, welcome to season 2 of Don't Lie to Your Life Coach podcast. Speaking of that, even with the podcast, I did not go for instant gratification. I just 1%ed my way there until I figured things out, okay? When perfection is not my middle name whatsoever. So how do you turn off the need for instant gratification? The first thing you do is you take your time. Now, I will let you know, I just had the most interesting conversation. I am gonna even start this same shit this year with a client who we were talking about the difference between fun and pleasure. And she was talking about the taking your time. And I was like, yes, queen, yes. Taking your time meaning that you allow yourself to be that beginner. You allow yourself your mistakes. You do not, something Marie Forleo used to always say, do not compare your beginning to someone's middle. Okay, what does that mean? If you're just starting something new, do not expect to be where someone who is mid-level or senior level is at in anything. Like, if you've just started dating, do not expect that you are going to meet Mr. Right on the first date. You might, but if you really are into meeting Mr. Right, Mrs. Right, for my gender non-conforming, non-binary folks, the person, then you are going to be willing to maybe sit across the table from some folks who you might not end up with. You might introduce to someone else. They might end up being your best friend or a good friend, or your buddy to do this or that. But this idea, and I know where it comes from, y'all. I know, I'm a coach. I know. You want to always, we often try to find ways to lessen our anxiety. And if it can happen quickly, then our anxiety is lessened. But in my next thing, I'm going to talk to you the difference between wanting and having, okay? Because there is a big difference in that. It's a big difference in wanting and having. But what we try to do is if we hurry up and do it fast, then we can be back to feeling okay. And that's really not the way to be. Sometimes if we try to do it really quickly, if we try to speed through it, the opposite happens. We make determinations that are not accurate. We decide, because I want to hurry up and meet the right person, you make the person who is not right the right person. And then 2 to 3 years later, you're like, ugh, I knew this in the beginning, but you don't know why you got there. And it was just your anxiety. Or like if you're so desperate for a job and you take the first job that comes and you haven't considered if it is the right job for you, then you end up disillusioned when that job doesn't work out. Now, is this a really big deal? No. What do I teach people? If the first decision doesn't work, make another decision. Or if you have a history of things not working out the way you want, you got to keep a little bit of a check on yourself. And when you do something that you don't like, make another decision that gets you closer to where you want to be. It sounds simple, it sounds easy, but I've been in these situations too, and I know how it can be to want to hurry up the process to get it going. And the reality is you actually sometimes create more stress, okay? So which leads me to the other part. You're going to make it a journey and a process. I talk a lot about this with grief, or weight loss, that if I look at it as a journey, and I know it's kind of cheesy, right? But if you look at it as a journey, then if you take y'all, sometimes when I drive, me and the GPS don't be friends, okay? Sometimes I'm not paying attention. It's rarely the GPS. I mean, sometimes the GPS will tell me to turn too late and I've missed the turn, but usually it's a user issue, okay? So in a journey, if you make a wrong turn, you literally just bust a UE and you go back, or the GPS is intelligent enough to course correct, to show you the different way. You might have to go around to go back in the direction, but it shows you the way that gets you there. Okay. So if you think about it as a journey or a process, like we all learned the scientific method, right? Remember in the scientific method, if it didn't work, like you just kind of start it back over. Like that has found like inoculations to diseases that ravage the planet. That process has found treatments that help us, or has figured out all of these numerous things. Y'all thought I was going to tell you the step of the scientific method. I'm so sorry, science teachers. Miss Scott, 7th grade teacher. I don't remember. Okay. I don't remember the steps. Sorry. Okay. But that whole idea that you ain't got to knock it out the box the first time. Give yourself grace. in your pace. Okay. All right. And then the wanting versus having. So y'all, I don't want to turn on my phone to see the name of the book. The book is, I'm reading right now. Oh gosh. You are the mountain. You are the mountain. You are the mountain. I'm listening to it now. And the author's name is escaping me. I will put it in the show notes. But in that book, the author talks about wanting versus having. So many of us have been in decades of wanting that and trying to make it happen. And when we actually get it, and she talks about this in the book, we are programmed to want. Like when you get something, you want a thing. Have you ever done this? Like, oh, I'm going to buy one more dress and then I'm not going to buy anything else. And then you buy another dress. Am I talking to myself? I'm totally talking to myself. That's me and earrings too. Okay. But like having what you possess, like not needing to, being able to interrupt that wanting cycle, being able to learn how to, now that you have the thing, what are you going to do? Because what happens is, again, I kind of know wanting something outside of ourselves creates huge spikes in dopamine. And dopamine, they've done a lot of research. It used to be, oh, dopamine is the, the neurotransmitter that, comes with pleasure and wanting. But now they have realized that dopamine actually it's still a neurotransmitter, but it's not as much about wanting. It's about wanting the wanting. It's not about having. You understand that? Wanting the wanting, it pushes you to keep wanting to do things. And I'm going to do a whole podcast on this. I want to kind of blow that out because having is part of the issue we have in this world. We are so used to striving that when we get it, we actually sometimes feel depressed. We actually sometimes are like, but I need to always be going for a thing. And you don't. Okay. So the second really big thing I want you to think about not taking into the new year is I want you to stop blaming yourself when it's really your habits. Okay. I want you to stop blaming yourself when it's really your habits. James Clear talks about in his book, Atomic Habits, how it's not you, it's the habits. Like if I look at your habits, I can see how your results turn out. Okay. So let me just say this. Usain Bolt used to be the fastest man in the world. I'm sure he still has some records. I don't know. I used to love watching Usain run. Okay. Not even Usain Bolt can outrun his habits. So if Usain Bolt does not train, eat in a way that supports his running or rest or do all the specialized, they have all these things when you're watching the behind the scenes that you've never seen, the contraptions they, put them up to, hook them up to and everything. If you don't do the things that support what you want, also the next one we're going to add on that is also having. But if you don't support the things that lead up to what you want, it ain't you. You're going to be like, well, I'm lazy or I should have done this. No, you haven't spent enough time deciding the micro steps to get you there and the habits you'd have to get you there. So for instance, if you work a third shift job, but you out partying before you go to your job, it's the habit of partying before you go to the job that makes it so that you're late for your job. So if you want to change your outcome of being late to your job, you would have to sleep, during the day. If you're going to work third shift, you're going to turn your day into your night, and your night into your day. You see? So it's not that you're a jerk or an asshole. It's just that you have to decide, like, if you have a goal, I really recommend you coming up with 3 habits that can get you there. And don't get like all, what the heck, a habit. 3 steps that can get you there. 3 things that you can do regularly that can support the thing you want. Remember in school, we learned to write a paragraph where you had your topic sentence, your main idea, and then you had the other 3 to 4 or 5 sentences that supported that main idea. You even had your kind of closing sentence that gave you that transition. That's how you want to think about your habits. So don't come to me and say, I want to lose 30 pounds in a month because I'm going to say good night. But don't come to me and say, I'm terrible. I have no willpower. I can't lose weight because, I can't like do these, because I'm going to look at your habits. I'm going to say, okay, well, are you drinking enough water? Like, are you writing down your food? Are you finding other ways to deal with your emotions? Are you feeling your emotions? Are you finding ways to deal with your emotions that aren't food? Are you eating food? Like, are you just eating broccoli and grilled chicken and a baked potato? Or are you eating foods that you like? Are you, deciding I don't have to clean my whole plate to, I'm not going to clean all my plate to lose weight, but I'm also not going to eat so little that I'm constantly hungry. I'm going to talk to you about your habits. I'm not in anything. If you're looking for love, if you're looking for a new job, if you're wanting to move to a new place, if you're wanting to save money, you can't save money by constantly spending your money. But also, if you save too much, then it kind of pushes you to spend. And I always like see these YouTube videos where they're like, well, the thing about rich people is they're always thinking of ways to invest. So it's like even learning a specialized education on how to establish those habits. That's why I'm doing the weight loss program in 2023, because I am an expert in how to lose weight the way you want to, like, love how you live, that you could do forever. Okay. That's why when y'all see me, y'all be like, oh, boo, I just was out last night. They were like, you so skinty. And I was like, that's my habits. Like, what you're seeing is me moving daily. What you're seeing is me not dealing with my issues with food. What you're seeing is, and the list goes on. Okay. So what we are going to talk about today is C minus sex. Yes, C minus. I did not say A plus plus. I said C minus sex. Now, so what is C minus sex, you ask? Well, generally, I do not let y'all get away with the word lazy, because it's never lazy, it's other stuff. But I do think lazy is a good way to describe it. It's the sex without the frills. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. There is not a performance. There is no Oscar or Emmy waiting for you at said finale. It's not overly concerned with that. It gets the job done. It hits all the switches. It's really important, I believe, to embrace. Now, I'm going to talk to people who have partner or partners, and I'm going to talk to people who do not, because you can still have C minus sex solo and with yourself. I encourage it, actually. Whenever I see someone suffering from a migraine on social media, I literally have to stop myself from saying self-pleasuring, an orgasm. I tell people all the time, an orgasm speeds healing. Look it up. Look it up. Okay. So C minus sex does not require a partner. I already said it does not require special clothes or to create the atmosphere. C minus sex gets the job done. And I think a lot of people, now you all know I'm a cisgender woman, okay? Black woman, I can only kind of clearly speak to that, knowing there are multiple perspectives. And even when I inquire with my friends who do not fit into that category, it is inquiry. So I want to make sure I'm not leaving out people. As a matter of fact, I read I'm gonna put it in the show notes, but I read about asexuality before I did this. I think it's called the Trevor Project. Not everybody wants sex. That's okay. That's totally okay. You know me, I'm always going to empower you to do what works for you, okay? Or how you feel oriented. So if you don't want sex, yay, that's fine. I am speaking to the people who do want to have sex, but the folks who don't want to have sex, please, y'all, listen. Try to understand us. We're trying to understand ourselves. I'm speaking to the people who want to have more sex. I'm speaking to the people who don't feel like they need to have a partner to have sex. If you have a partner or not, cool. But the idea that sex has to be this performance. I would say it's Western, but there's some Eastern philosophy on that too. And what I want to say to you is sex, like anything, I repeat this often, right? The relationship, like when you have a relationship with something, sometimes it feels really great. Sometimes it feels really shitty. Sometimes it feels absolutely fucked up, right? Sometimes it feels grand and confusing and you're unsure of it. When we can have a relationship with sex and we can allow it to be any of those things, knowing that it could resolve. You know, I teach you all, I'm going to sneeze in a minute. I teach you all that your thoughts are what create your feelings, right? So the idea that, hold on, see the sneeze is coming. I guess I must have shooed it away. The idea that you have all these thoughts, it would be worth it for you to look at your thoughts about sex. Like, sex can only happen this time of day. Sex can only happen after I take a shower. Ooh, y'all are going to ooh me. Whatever. I don't care. That isn't my version of how sex always happens. Okay. Dirty sex is real sex. Okay. So the idea that sex can only happen with your partner, the idea that sex can only happen if these 5 things are in complete alignment, can get in the way of the amount of sex you have. Hey, the idea that you have to be monogamous. Ooh, another episode. So when you're open to exploring what sexuality means to you, then you can be willing to break those rules and see minus sex is where it's at. I don't got a report in front of me, but when we look at the amount of sex that Americans are having, everybody's saying they want to have more. So let me rephrase that. People who want to have sex are saying they want to have more. I want to make sure that I'm being inclusive of all communities, right? And also, I want to give the trigger warning, which I definitely will give in the intro of this, that some people have a relationship with sex because of abuse, that they could seek, if possible, some professional assistance in looking at that relationship and deciding how they want to recover or if they want to recover that. So I want to make sure that will be, you guys will already hear that in the intro of the show, because I know that sex brings up a lot of feelings and a lot of things for people. But I do want to make sure that while I respect all the communities we're coming from, that we also are able to be open enough to talk about these things, right? To reclaim these parts of ourselves, including the sexual parts, if that is your choice. So Americans want to have some Americans say when they self-report, they want to have more sex. But what is the barrier? And I can tell you, deciding it has to look a certain way, deciding it has to be a certain way, deciding you have to feel a certain way about who you're having it with, even if it's yourself, responsibilities, kids, jobs, stress. It's really interesting. We often try to fight stress, with being not stressed, but we don't do the things that make us not stressed. And sex, an orgasm, if you are orgasmic, is a way for that to feel good. If sex feels good to you, is a way for you to reduce your stress. It is. Now, I do not come as a person who has this all figured out. That's why y'all should like me. I'm working through this as well, right? I have to examine where I am with this too. A lot of us get to a point, especially if we're having sex with the same person over and over, where we're like, it's all feels like C- sex. But that's where you can talk to your partner. That's where you can explore different things. That's where you can bring the adventure into your sex life and try things maybe you haven't tried. Or even sometimes you'll hear me say this all the time. Going for the desire sometimes brings, like, even thinking about it changing or believing it can change can bring a desired effect, pun intended. So this idea that, let's just think about it. We're going to do some data. We're going to look at some numbers. If you're having sex, if you have sex 100 times, okay, how many times do those have to be perfect? Sometimes you can laugh during sex because something awkward or strange or weird or great or whatever happens or amazing. When I think about sex, I don't think about every single time I have sex it being mind-blowing. Again, I go back to that relationship. Sometimes it's going to be like, whoa, that was amazing. Sometimes it's going to be just sometimes it's going to be like, maybe I could have had a V8. Sometimes it's going to be like, oh, that's interesting. I like that move. So allowing yourself that flexibility, anything I say is going to make me laugh. Allowing yourself that flexibility to not just come at it, God, to not just go at it as, it having to look a certain way. That's perfectionism, and that's fucking sucks. Okay? Your perception of yourself, you need to listen to how you talk to yourself. You need to just listen, run your conversations back the way you think throughout the day. If it's more negative than positive, you need to come see me. Okay? But perception of life. Some of y'all hold some beliefs about this life. I'm going to say it without cursing. They just ain't helpful. Mondays suck. I'm never going to find, what I want in my life. I'm never going to have the things I want. I'm never going to, feel like life is good to me. This life is too short. This life is too long. Things don't change. People don't change. Nothing changes. It's always going to be this way. Y'all, why would you want to show up in life any differently if you think life is a sack of shit? A shit basket is what I call it. Why would you want to show up in life any differently if you have erased optimism and your subconscious has, embraced pessimism? I am not talking about toxic positivity. I just watched Ted Lasso, and Ted had some things with him, right? I ain't gonna give it away. I'm gonna show up in life with my hands like this. They're gonna be open. I had a dear friend tell me one time, when your hand is open, things come in and things go out. And that is okay. Some of you have perceptions of life because bad things have happened to you, and you think pain is not supposed to happen. Raise your hand if pain hasn't happened to you. It's happened to all of us. We all have had soul crushing pain. By the way, I don't believe the soul can be crushed, but we all have been on our knees. We all have felt isolated. We all have felt terrible. We all have felt like, is it worth it? And I promise you, this is my advice about everything. If you keep moving forward, you will find reasons for it to be worth it. If you decide that this is all you get, this is all I'm served, then you will find reasons to not want to move forward. When I hear of people dying from broken hearts, I hear the choice in it. But for every person who died from a broken heart, I can think of 10 people whose hearts were broken open by something happening, and they kept it pushing. They kept swimming. They kept moving. They didn't even know where their next breath was going to come from, but there was something in them. I'm going to call it spirit. Y'all call it what you want. That beguiled them, that pushed them forward, and they listened. These are the people who have been through the unspeakable things. Y'all know the list. These are the people that we hear about on TV. We know these people. Life has served them the shittiest of the shit sandwich, and they keep going. These are the people I call to when I feel like I don't want life in the way that it's given to me. How do you deal with that, y'all? How do you deal with that? I talk out loud to myself. Y'all know I'm a walker and talker in this neighborhood. I will walk and talk. I literally will talk my problems out. I don't judge myself. I trust that where I am at any moment can always get better. A therapist could help. A healing circle can help. Sharing it with a friend can help. Calling up a hotline can help. But having a version in your head of how a story was supposed to go and only finding happiness if that story went that way is a setup. And I want to tell you that you can change that today. How? Giving you a little tidbit on each one. Sometimes you're not ready to go to this is going to be okay. Sometimes you're ready to go to a little bit of neutral. This thing happened to me. Then you go a little further. This thing happened to me, but I'm willing to see it in a different way. Then you spend a little bit of time of this thing happened to me, and I believe I might learn from this. This thing happened to me, and I feel like even though it's hard, I can keep going. This thing happened to me, and I'm willing to let it go. This thing happened to me, And I believe I can still be happy. I can feel happy. So, yeah, perception, y'all. The lens we look through is limited. It is. Mine too, y'all. It's limited, but it's through the work of continuing to ask ourselves what is it that we want? Who do we want to be? How do we want to be? When do we want to be? Where do we want to be? Asking those questions, answering them, and going to get it. Woo, all right, get out the pulpit, Kim. Y'all, stick here with me. I thank y'all for listening. Stick here with me. Not everybody's going to be able to coach with me. Not everybody's going to be able to do my group coaching program when I launch that. But you can come back here. I think I got about 5 years of podcast topics. And you can come back and you can get this and share it with somebody. Share what you've heard with somebody who you think can need it. Okay, who needs it. Who is willing, it's part of it. You got to be willing to be open to something new coming in. And that's the thing that can change your life. Y'all have a good day. I'll see you next time. Are you feeling what you just heard? Good. Repeat after me. You don't have to figure it out on your own again anymore. I'm here to help. Head over to KimArrington.com and download my free video series dedicated to getting you feeling your best right now. Look around, there's some good stuff waiting on you. Got questions? Well, we're always talking on the socials, so find me on YouTube, Insta, and the book. Don't be shy, y'all. Go listen to another episode or join me here the same time next week. Finally, don't keep good shit to yourself. Share this with a homie that could use some help too. Remember, we're not lying to ourselves anymore. We're not lying to our doctors. And you damn sure don't lie to your life coach.